Herschel shivered and glanced behind the chair he was sitting on. Something had just prickled his senses. Something very ominous. He reached to his right hand, out of habit, and found his plate empty. He picked up the plate and stared at it. For a moment it seemed almost as if he was broken and didn't know what to do. Finally, Herschel pulled out his phone and called his provider. "What?" the voice answered statically. "I'm kinda busy right now." "Help me!" another muffled voice coughed. And the cough was with such intensity that one might worry it would surely dislodge some vital organ. Herschel had no such worries. His worries were that of toast, and toast alone. "Rosemary, you just have to help me. I'm in the middle of the most terrible distress right now. My day is absolutely ruined." "Let me guess, you need some toast," Rosemary interrupted. "Why, how did you know?" Herschel asked, amazed. Then continuing before she could answer, "It's just so dreadful. I was sitting here, studiously preparing for my scene, when I reached over and found my plate empty." He gasped at his own peril. "Empty! Now, I'm sure if I don't get another piece of toast soon, something horrible will happen, and I'm in such a fit." "Come to room 2B, was all Rosemary said, and she hung up. "Curious," Herschel said to himself. Well, Rosemary knew how important this was, so perhaps she had already done some emergency planning. How thoughtful of her. Although really, it was her fault in the first place that his original supply had run out. Hadn't he told her that he needed her on hand for cases such as these? Herschel arrived at the room labeled 2B and pulled it open to find Rosemary strangling Wolf on the ground. Wolf could have easily fought her off a while back, but for the sake of her pride, acted like she was winning. Thus, when Herschel arrived, Wolf saw his chance of honorable salvation, and weakly raised an arm for help. Herschel, however, merely stepped over the blockade, and raced to the center of the room, glowing with excitement. He spun and spun, viewing the delectable beauties covering every surface. "This is," he began rapturously. "My demise," Wolf offered. "The bane of my existence," Rosemary growled. "Toastland!" Herschel cheered. "The only true utopia on Earth." "That is debatable." "What, you think there's another one?" Rosemary asked. "No, I just meant his statement was subjective. It is only his opinion." Wolf used his opportunity, while Rosemary was distracted, to right himself and run down the hallway, leaving Rosemary with Herschel. Herschel didn't know where to begin, and leaned over to smell the various toasts. There were all sorts of breads, with all sorts of toppings, artfully spread to the edge of each piece. Then he came to the table that had shamefully been knocked onto the floor. He spent a moment grieving the toast strewn about, before reaching out and eating the fallen pieces. Rosemary sat against the wall and watched the pig slowly consume a loaf's worth of toast. It was sickening. She liked toast decently, but not that much, and especially considering her recent expenditure with toast, she was beginning to think of it as rather loathable. "I think we need to stage an intervention," Wolf attempted to whisper, having snuck back out of some morbid curiosity. "I can stop when I want. I just don't want to," Herschel protested, and turned back to his snack. "Yes, I very much agree. He needs help," Rosemary nodded to Wolf. Wolf looked at her, with her mug somehow mysteriously conjured to her, and accidentally said, "Hypocrite," out loud. There was no hiding it, either. He knew that his voice boomed with every syllable. It wasn't intentional, but there was no taking it back. She flew upon him, raising the mug threateningly. He backed into the wall, and she said, just barely audibly, "I'm going to make you like toast, if it's the last thing I do." Wolf wasn't normally responsive to threats. He got them all too often. But this one was on the next level. He shuddered.